I can't get too into Jon Jones's wheelhouse, but I'll tell you two things. Publicly, he is saying he does not want Tom Aspinall. Privately, he is waiting for a phone call to tell him the date so he can go fight Tom Aspinall. That is as direct with you as I can be. That fight is a 100% go, and they could make it to date.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Daniel Cormier. That is Chael Sonnen. Chael, 2025. Unbelievable. The new year has happened. It's good to see you, my guy. It feels like it's been forever.
I have legitimately missed you. I'm so happy to see you. I kept up with you. Gilroy was in a massive tournament called the Doc Buchanan over the weekend. I think you guys ended up 5th. West Lynn went out to that tournament. We did not place in the top 50. I know how difficult it is. It is so good to see you. By the way, you said 2025. I have not got to say or write that down yet. Like, I haven't had a check or something where you're going to write that year. That blows my mind. I remember Y2J perfectly. When we rolled into 2000, and there was a fear worldwide that our computer system wouldn't know to go up to 2000, and that everything was going to crash. And people were excited. Like, they thought if they had a Visa or a MasterCard bill that it was just going to go away. All student debt was going to go away. Like, his computers could not keep up. That was a real thing. That was 25 years ago.
Yeah. Chael, I was in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I was a junior in college. You were a senior. And I remember we just went out and had the time of our lives because in 2000, you remember, I was redshirting that year. They ended up pulling me out. So I was drinking on New Year's Eve. I had a blast. 10 days later, they say, hey, man, you're wrestling. But yes, I do remember watching Y2K Scare. It was the best. But yeah, 25 years. Dude, we're getting so old. I've got kids that I coach that have already graduated college. It's so sad how fast time goes. But it is a new year.
They pulled your red shirt? They pulled your red shirt in 2000?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I was redshirting. I was on the bench. I was living life. A red shirt at Oklahoma State is a good shirt because you get to just party. At least back then you did. You got to just party. Chael, you know, it feels like we were in our off season. And honestly, when we were done, remember we put on our nice shirts to end the year. We did all those segments that ran all the way through the break. It felt good to get a break. But I got to be honest, like, I didn't like it. I didn't like being away from MMA for that long. What'd you do in all that time away?
I agree with you, Daniel. I'm not into the marijuana. I'm told that Oregon is like known for the best grass. The kids say, I don't know anything about it. I don't even know that I have ever seen it in my life. I get high on MMA. Since I have seen you, I actually got to participate in an event, Colby Covington. I got to walk out with Colby and be part of that. I got to share that energy and be part of that. And I mean, when I tell you that it is a drug that I have missed, yeah, man, I'm ready to come back. We got to show this weekend that we're going to go right into 2 world title fights, which, by the way, is one of the first times in a long time. A lot of the odds makers think we're going to have 2 brand new champions that night.
Yeah, when we get new champs, it's always fun. Chael, 10 years ago, I was involved in a fight with Jon Jones, UFC 182. It's amazing to think that that was already a decade ago that him and I were fighting in the MGM Grand, fighting in the MGM Grand lobby prior to the actual fight inside the MGM Grand. And it got me thinking, every year, people, us, fans, we get excited about the prospects of what the year is going to look like. New Year's resolutions is what they call them. Everybody usually sticks to them for about 5-6 days, and then they're done. Hey, everybody hits the gym on January 2nd. I'm living a new life. It's a new me. I'm doing better this year. And then 5 days later, they're sitting on the couch eating Oreos. That's just the way the world works. So we started thinking, Chael, there's some potentials in fighting this year. So that's what we're going to look at. The potential for this, the percentage of what we think will happen. One, being the biggest one, is Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. You can't get away from this fight, Chael P. But when you think about it in terms of percentages, like, do you think it'll happen? Are you at a 50% that it'll happen? 100? I mean, what's your thought?
Daniel, I don't break news. I wait for somebody to do the hard work, and then I come in and I scab them. And then I talk about what they talked about. That's just my position. I can't get too into Jon Jones's wheelhouse, but I'll tell you two things. Publicly, he is saying he does not want Tom Aspinall. Privately, he is waiting for a phone call to tell him the date so he can go fight Tom Aspinall. That is as direct with you as I can be. That fight is a 100% go, and they could make it today. Anything that you're hearing that Jon Jones is holding that fight up, Jon Jones is having some fun with the fans because the fans have been a bit of jerks to him. As far as fighting Tom Aspinall, take me at my word when I tell you Jon Jones will be there.
You think so? So you think it's 100% that this fight happens?
I think so. Are you not hearing what I'm not saying?
No, I'm hearing the underlying.
I am all but breaking a confidence that yes, Jon Jones will be there. Jon Jones will be at that fight the day they offer him that fight.
Okay, so if you're saying that, right, and you're doing the old, you know how you do that when you like try to tell somebody something. Like, yeah, man, you know, you lean in, or you gotta lean in like, hey, you doing that? Okay, so it's 100%. It's 100%.
100.
If I hear you correctly. I'm buying it. I'm buying it. I'm in. I think it's 100% too. I believe that Jon Jones gets the fight. We said this before. We thought that it was just a matter of him negotiating publicly. But Chael, when it comes to negotiating publicly, hey, Joe Rogan talks about stuff, and at times Joe can be out there. But a lot of times when Joe Rogan speaks mixed martial arts, it tends to happen. Big topic Joe was talking about the other day was, well, I hear Jon Jones wants $30 million to fight. What are the percentages that he gets $30 million to fight? Because I thought he was just negotiating. And if that's the number, and if there's a chance Jon Jones gets that number, that is unheard of. Conor McGregor hasn't seen that number inside the UFC. What percentage do you think it is that Jon will get $30 million to walk to the octagon with Tom Aspinall?
Well, let me tell you this. The UFC is going to do sustainable business, which simply means they're going to do something that they can do again and again and again and continue to make sure that their profits exceed their expenditures. And there is a number where this gets silly, but I would like to answer you in this regard. There is no cap on what Jon Jones can make. We will never hear Jon's going to get $8 million. There is no cap. So as long as people keep on buying, they will keep giving Jon a participation. And could the number get to 30 million? That seems pretty strong to me. But if we're using 30 million more as an expression that it's going to be the highest payday of all time, yeah, buddy, he's going to get the biggest check they've ever written. That's true.
I do. I believe that he'll get the biggest check they've ever given. Percentage that he'll get 30 million to me.
30 just seems strong, because how many pay-per-views are you breaking down?
That's
you're breaking down, that's 15 million pay-per-views. That's just silly. That'd be about 11.5 million. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, the largest pay-per-view of all time is 2 million pay-per-views, 2.5 for Khabib Conor. There's no way you get to 30 million. But hey, if you ask for 30 and you get 15 when you probably got 8, hey, that's a good day. Or you get to 20, that's a good day. I don't believe he gets to 30 million. So I'll give that about a 10% chance he gets to 30. But I do believe he will get a massive, massive number to walk to the octagon. And hey, it proves the point. It's good to be the champ. It's good to be in demand. And it's good to have a guy that people think can beat you. Because if the UFC didn't truly believe that Tom Aspinall has a chance, they would not be willing to put up the biggest fight purse of all time. Because Chael, as a business, and you and I know for sure, after watching professional wrestling for so long, you got to have him go out getting beat. You have to. You have to. Because if he walks away, the undisputed, undefeated champion, it doesn't matter what Tom Aspinall does when he's gone. He will always until he's old and he can't walk. As long as he can walk and he can look like he can compete, he will always hang atop the division as a storm. Like, Jon would beat this guy. Jon would beat this guy. So you got to get him beat, or you got to have him lose before he can leave the game, right, Chael? And you got to force him in there with that guy that you believe can beat him.
Well, and that is what's so great about Aspinall. Like, I want Jon Jones to be real careful here and not quite overplay his hand, only because he doesn't have 2 hands to play. He doesn't have 3 hands. There has been 2 guys in the history of his career. I'm talking to one, and the other lives in England, and his name Tom. 2 guys in the history of Jones's career that can create the idea and the perception with the audience ahead of time that Jon is going to get beat. And I mean, it is so wildly helpful, but it's just not something where you've got 2 and 3 of these guys. You do 30 million one time, you're not getting a guy to make that walk for less than 30 million in the future. It's just not going to happen. And I'll tell you this, the only way that we're going to see Jon Jones compete 2 times in 2025 or again, I believe, is if he gets beat. Now, if he gets beat and it's not competitive, it'll be so long. Glad I tried the weight class and goodbye. I think he's going to fight Aspinall. Should he get the jump on him? I think Don does do what you just talked about, and that is walk away.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, low percentage he gets that amount. But I hope, or I believe, after hearing Uncle Chael, they will fight. Chael, Dana said something before the break. I'm going to do something that's going to blow your mind. Then Conor starts talking again, because Conor's always talking, about fighting Logan Paul, but for a massive amount of money. What's the percentages that Conor and Logan Paul actually box? Can you believe, though, Chael, that we are buying into these exhibition boxing matches?
No.
They're not even telling, they're not even lying to us anymore and going, we're going to fight. They're literally telling you, we're going to do an exhibition. And we want you guys to pay a crazy amount of money to watch us do an exhibition. Is that not crazy to you?
Well, the advisors that they have got to be relieved of duty immediately. So you get a guy that's got nothing more than money. He doesn't have a promoter's license. He doesn't have a history in this. He's got some money. He wants to bring some attention. He's watching the world around us and says, I can get that through the sport of boxing. Then he brings in a professional wrestler. And we saw this with the greats all the way up to Sakuraba. If one guy is a pro wrestler, you go into that match just not buying it. We did not, frankly, believe that Mike Tyson and Jake Paul were going to go out there to actually compete and try to do damage to one another. Ahead of that fight, we thought, there's something going on here. Whether that turns out to be true or not, your perception ahead of time. There's only one word that keeps the lights on in this industry, and that is anticipation. It is not great fights, and it is not great knockouts, because that buy button had to be pressed before that took place. There's got to be an anticipation, and I'm just sharing with you. If you decide you're going to go in the boxing game, and the only thing that you got is money, but you got enough money to get anybody you want, and the first thing you do is to not go find yourself 2 boxers. You go find yourself 2 non-boxers. It's one of the stranger concepts I've heard. And Daniel, I did not believe it. I thought it was ridiculous. And the gentleman was being called an Indian billionaire that wanted to bring attention to India. And it's like, okay, first off, there's a great debate whether it's India or China for the most populated country in the world. So I really don't think they're looking for attention. And secondly, to bring 2 guys in that have no tie to India also doesn't make a lot of sense. And my third and final argument, there's no rich guy signing a check for $250 million that is not putting his name out there. He's going to want the world to know who he is, and that was conveniently removed from the article. So I called it out. Daniel, they got a hold of me. The PR person got a hold of me and said, no, you didn't get the name left out. He said, the name's a little bit hard to say, but here's exactly what the family's name is. This is what they're looking to do. They're aware that both these athletes, Logan and Conor, are under the WME banner. So they're going to go in and try to get a carve out and a release for both of them. It's silly. It's a bust. I will be there with my hand out like everybody else if this happens, but to put on a boxing event and not to think I should probably call a couple of boxers makes you a bit of a dum-dum. You could get Bud Crawford in there with Canelo, the biggest fight that boxing currently has, for half that figure.
You know, and if he did, they would sell more pay-per-view probably, because people would be interested in the boxing fight and make a lot of money. Because in boxing, you make money like right away. But Chael, in terms of those 2 fighting, like what percentage, a number?
0.
You think that 0%?
I believe that it's 0. Somebody's going to splash some cold wine. I mean, rich guys don't become rich guys by making really stupid moves. You're going to go into something and you're going to put a $250 million price tag out there. You're never going to cover your spread. So now all of a sudden, this name and reputation that you wanted to build, you get it built as a fool. A fool and his wealth will part ways. That will be a fool parting ways with his wealth. I can't think of a faster idea to lose $250 million than to do a boxing match with a pro wrestler and a dude that's never won a boxing match that aren't even remotely close in weight class.
Yeah. See, your arguments make me want to agree with you, but I'm the fool that purchases the pay-per-view.
You want to see that
guy? I'm the fool that watches. I'm the fool that stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning watching Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. Joe, I'm the fool that watched Mike Tyson walk in that ring at 58 was like, oh man, he's gonna knock him out. I'm the fool. I'm the guy. I am the fool. So I'm giving it a 50% chance. I'm giving it a 50% chance that we see these guys fight. But I can't even say fight. I see these guys in an exhibition because that's what it is. And we've seen Floyd fight exhibition against Logan Paul. We saw Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight an exhibition. We've seen exhibitions. We've honestly haven't seen these Paul brothers in many fights. They've all kind of been, even Anderson, when he fought Jake Paul, kind of looked like he was playing with him a little bit, toying with him at times. So yeah, I give a 50% chance that these guys fight. I do believe Conor McGregor fights Jake Paul because he doesn't have to kick, the boxing, it's less dangerous, and there's more money involved. So yeah, 50% for me in terms of that. But
do you believe, hey, let me ask you one real fast. Do you believe there is any form of combat, including this padded down version we're discussing right now, where Conor McGregor could beat Logan Paul? And I know that Logan's got the size, but Logan's not going to relinquish the size. He's going to make Conor come up. They're probably going to do an exhibition at heavyweight where Paul's going to show up around 220. I think Logan Paul whips his ass. That's the other elephant in the closet nobody's wanting to discuss.
He's going to be too big for him. I mean, but Conor did fight Floyd pretty good. He did.
Well, so did Logan
against Floyd Mayweather. Logan did a good job. Logan did too good a job to where Floyd actually punched him. And he was like, oh, man, please, Floyd, just calm down.
Yeah, but that was three lawsuits. That was 3 lawsuits, 2 convictions, and a whole lot of cocaine ago. I mean, let's not forget that. It's not the same guy. And you got a leg surgery on top. You got all these years and miles. You got a leg surgery and a pile of coke and a couple of convictions. It's nothing will age a guy faster than drugs and legal work. Okay. Take it from me. It will slow you down a little bit.
Crazy about drugs. I've actually like had people. I've had people in my life that are teammates or people that I've trained with that when they started getting into the partying, they started to lose their chin. The partying started to evolve. They couldn't take punches anymore. It was the craziest thing. I was like, dude, you're one of the toughest people in the world, and you're voluntarily giving away your chin to go and have a party. Like that's crazy.
There's a rule. There's a rule, and it never gets talked about in MMA, but it's a rule in boxing. If you're fighting a drunk, hit him in the body. If you're fighting a drug addict, hit him in the head.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it was the craziest thing because I'm not a guy that does those types of things, but I saw it in real time. Dana does believe that Conor will be back in the UFC, says that he'll be back by the end of 2025. Do you believe it? Do you believe it anymore? And who will he fight if he does come back? What's the percentage, a number you give Conor McGregor stepping foot in the octagon in 2025?
It was so incredibly hard to get as far as we got last time. I mean, we got a signed bout agreement. We got a venue, a date. We sold out an arena with 25 million plus waiting at the box office, an all-time record. Ended up getting beat later in the year by the Sphere card, but at that time, it's an all-time record. Beat Sphere by about 3 months. Almost got to a press conference. Almost got through a training camp. And we were still so far from getting that fight to the ring. I mean, we couldn't even get the guys in the same country, and that's when Chandler flew out to Ireland. We couldn't even get these guys into the same room. So no, I am not going to be foolish enough to believe that we can get that fight to the ring for Chandler or for anybody else for Conor. Sadly, the sport is more fun when Conor's around, but no, we can't get him in the ring.
So zero.
Conor will not fight. When 0%. Conor pulled out of the fight with Chandler, it was akin to saying, I'm retired. Whether he knows it or not, his career ended that moment. Have you ever seen a politician, Daniel? They got the election coming up, and the politician will suspend his campaign. He doesn't step down. It could even be Ross Perot. He will suspend his campaign. Okay, when you suspend your campaign, it is the exact same thing as ending your campaign. When Conor McGregor withdrew from Chandler, he ended his career.
Oh, Chael, you know you've given 0% so far. You've given 0%.
That's right. That's right. Because I'm the smartest guy in the room. I follow the laws of logic. I understand certain things. And one was 100%, but it was 100% in the affirmative. Jon Jones, you could call him with a date right. He's at home waiting for the date, regardless to what he says publicly. He knows that fight's coming. He's getting ready for that fight. He's taking on Aspinall. There's a reason they haven't stripped him. There's a reason that we have an interim champion in connection with a heavyweight champion, because we're going to get them in the cage together.
Yeah. Okay. So
Daniel, do you at least reject the premise that Jon Jones is scared? Can we at least start right there and say, no, he's
no
not.
Chance. He's not scared of anybody, bro. Like, come on.
For heaven's sake, no.
You're never scared of anybody. Like, we're not scared of any. Like, fear is not like a thing. Like, where some other human being is going to scare you in hand-to-hand combat. That doesn't make sense. Even retired, you're not scared of another human being. That fear is for normal people, not fighters. I think Conor will come back. I say 25%. I'm not as sure as I was before. 25% he comes back. But if he does, it'll be against Michael Chandler. I think Michael Chandler unknowingly has done everything right to get himself that fight. And one of the main reasons he will get that fight is because he didn't go out there and beat Charles Oliveira in the way that it seemed like he could after the first fight. If he'd have won, Conor McGregor might not have fought him. If he'd have wrestled him a whole bunch, Conor wouldn't have fought him. But because Mike was willing to exchange on the feet, because Mike got hurt so many times on the hand by Charles with the hands, Conor's like, yo, I can feast on this guy. So he'll fight Michael Chandler if he does come back. But I don't know if fighting Michael Chandler is the best idea, because Michael Chandler will hit you. And he does have tremendous power. And if he can hit Conor, might be able to put him down when you ain't been hit for so long.
And Daniel, by the way, as we're trying to think of opponents, I could at least tell you, I sure hope it's Chandler. I feel like he deserves it. I would like to see that happen for him. But there's a rumor started by George Masvidal that George Masvidal has re-signed with the UFC. That's confirmed, at least, that he has re-entered the public testing pool. Same with Cowboy Cerrone, and those were big surprises. The UFC made it pretty clear, hey, we're just not interested in signing that age range. But they also announced a fight for Nick Diaz. So there appears to be kind of like a new idea, and I can't help but wonder if some of those guys are staying around or being brought around for potential matchups with Conor. I can't help but wonder. I'm a little surprised at the return of a couple of our heroes.
You know, honestly, Nick Diaz, Conor McGregor should fight. Conor McGregor should not fight George Masvidal. Masvidal is too big. He's too good a boxer. Their skills are too similar, and the bigger guy generally, right? The bigger guy generally wins when you have the same skill set. They're both boxing. It's not a...
And George is too mean. Like the kind of pain you're going to feel fighting Masvidal, it's a different kind of pain. He has bad intentions. He'll try to flip your liver over. He'll try to break your nose. He'll enjoy doing it. Like it's a different type of proposition.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If I'm McGregor, I'm not fighting Masvidal. It's a bad matchup for him. Chael, talking about South Florida, we've got two of the baddest women in the world that reside there in Amanda Nunes, the former double champion, and Kayla Harrison. What percentage do you think we see those two fight inside the octagon in 2025?
You've got to understand, you're talking about Queen Amanda. So allow me to take the bass out of my tone, okay, when I talk about the Queen herself. But the reality on the Queen's timeline is in her prime, at her best, sharp, beating women, staying consistent. Before she was asked to leave a certain gym, before she was forced to create her own gym, which didn't go so well against Juliana Pena. I mean, just for example. So things started to turn, and Amanda said goodbye. She could not have left at a better time. To make believe that she's going to return to a sport for a match that she did not want to do when she could have done it it's too big of an ask for me. If Amanda wants to have some fun with the media, and Daniel, one thing that a person will do, I've got kids as you do. It's a little bit bigger with kids, but we do shamefully do it as adults. Is sometimes we'll say something just to have other people pat us on the back and encourage us. Sometimes we'll make a dinner and tell our friends, oh, that steak didn't turn out very well, just so they'll oh my God, this is the best steak I've ever had. Amanda's doing a little bit of that, and fame's a drug. You need that fix every now and then. If you can get that on a Twitter handle, if you can get that on Instagram, it's still a drug, and a narcissist has got to have a supply of ego somewhere. But Amanda fainting that she ever is going to cut to 135 or ever compete with the very girl that made her leave her gym in the first place is fiction.
So 0%.
Zero. We're at zero. I'm not walking the fence over here. Chael, where is it? Hey, by the way, you want to know something, you little prick? You have not complimented me. I put on this shirt. You know how good I look in this shirt?
Hey,
you know how big and strong I look? Since I have seen you
Chael.
last down, I've been hitting it. I've been in my garage. I've been moving the dumbbells. I've been on the heavy bag. Old Chael's got something coming up, and it's a competition.
wow.
And you know what?
Wow.
I'm not going to tell you what it is because you've been nothing but a jerk to me. If you would have commented on the shirt and how much more fit I'm looking, I might have been a little bit more generous. But I happen to know that I look good, whether you mentioned it or not.
I know what you're doing. Oh my God, the person that you may compete against might look horrible when you're looking as good as you're looking. But Chael, listen, I don't believe it's 0%. I think that if everything goes the way that people expect, Juliana Pena will have to fight Kayla Harrison sometime in the first quarter of the year.
Hard
if
fight.
If that happens in no. Sometimes between January and April. So in the first 4 months, if that happens, if everything goes as if people anticipate, Kayla Harrison will become the champion. The moment she becomes the champion, if it happens again, because I don't want to disrespect Juliana Pena, there will be a rush to get her and Amanda Nunes in the octagon. There will not be any question as to who's next. It's not going to be somebody else. It's not going to be Macy Chasson or any of these girls that are fighting at bantamweight. They're going to go to Amanda's door and they're going to tell her, we're going to give you more money than you've ever made in your life to come back and fight this girl, because that is a fight that would matter. And guess what? I would go even further to tell you that it's not even that Amanda's going to be fighting Kayla. I think there's a 50% chance Amanda fights whoever wins between Juliana and Kayla, because those are the only two fights right now that matter at 135 pounds on the female side. So you got to find a way to get Kayla or Juliana versus Amanda. 3 fights matter, Chael. 3. The one that's going for the belt now, Kayla and Juliana, even though Juliana refused to say her name when she was in the stands, it was just perfect. It was perfect right there for the taking. You grab the apple, you take a bite of it. She didn't want to do it. Yep. Amanda versus the winner of that fight, only 3 fights that matter in women's bantamweight. So I believe they're going to pursue it. So I give it about a 50% chance that Amanda fights again this year.
And Daniel, I love what you're referencing. It was one of the great pieces of cinema and theater of the year. And ESPN got no credit for it because they got burned. They've got Juliana in the ring. No one knows if she won that match or not. So now we've got this. Hey, we got to hear from Bruce Buffer. We don't even know what happened. ESPN takes a camera into the back. They're in the locker room
before
Kayla Harrison as Kayla's on bended knee trying to figure out who's the champion, who am I fighting next. Nobody knows. There's so much drama, and Juliana left her hanging. It was one of the great. From an artistic standpoint, it was, I believe, the best thing that we saw in 2024, and they burned her. She burned her and left her there on her knee and said somebody else's name. Oh, my goodness.
Didn't Kayla fight the fight right before Juliana?
Yes.
So it was like,
yeah, it became number 1 contender.
It worked. She could have walked. Dude, could you imagine if they had marched her back to the octagon from the locker room? Juliana goes, Kayla Harrison, come out here. You want this? Kayla storms back to the octagon, runs, and they get in each other's face. Then we'd have magic. It would have been magic. But instead, Juliana said, Amanda, come back and fight me.
Do you remember there was a year called 1988, and it was SummerSlam, it was WrestleMania, but the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man, gets in the ring, and he's got his guitar, and he's dancing. I'm the Honky Tonk Man. He's doing the whole bit. And he doesn't have an opponent. And he tells this sold out, he says, bring me anybody from the back. I'll wrestle anybody. And they're waiting, and all of a sudden you hear, the Warrior comes sprinting to the ring. And the Honky Tonk's thinking, no, anybody but him. He presses him. He slams him 29 seconds. 29 seconds, and the Warrior took that belt away. That is the exact moment we could have had if Juliana, who's generally down to play ball, Juliana is a masterful performer, but she left her hanging. Because don't forget, Kayla Harrison said earlier that night, make it a tournament. I'll fight them both tonight.
Yeah.
The Vixen could have called her and said, you said you'll fight tonight? I accept your challenge. Get out here, and we'd have had some real fun. And I'm sorry to use that word, but that's what brings it all together. You got to use the B word.
My boy's on fire right now. Chael, no, anybody but the Warrior.
Anybody but the Warrior. I didn't want him. Well, I'm the honky tonk man. Remember that song I played? He said, I got my lean guitar, I got my hair slicked back, I'm coming through your town in my big Cadillac, because I'm the honky tonk man. What kind of a line is that? And he sang the song. That's back when he sang his own song. It was him saying, I'm the honky tonk man.
It was awesome, dude. I hated him. He was a heel, and he knew exactly how to play the game. He was the best. Oh my God, Chael, you're so funny. Well, yes, if she would have dropped the B word, it would have been awesome. Alex Pereira. We've spoken about him as a champion. We've spoken about him as a guy who's won 2 belts in 2 weight classes. We've spoken about him trying to go up to get a heavyweight champion, be a 3rd belt. But when it comes to like becoming a simultaneous double champ, what are the odds? And what weight class do you believe he would do it? So what's the percentage that you would think that he'd go to become heavyweight? Or what's the percentage that he goes back down to middleweight to try to become double champ?
And Daniel, since I've seen you last, I got to meet Pereira for my first time. And I ended up in a holding room with him. So I was there for about 30 minutes with Alex Pereira, getting to visit, had an interpreter. Daniel, I swear to you, I could feel something in the room. This is not a normal person. There was a coldness, there was a tension. He was trying to be nice and friendly, and I was trying to do the same thing. I swear to goodness, I could feel something when he was there, and there's no other way that I can say it, but I've only had that feeling twice in my life. One was the first time I saw Royce Gracie in person, and the second is the first time Vanderlei came walking into a workout room, and I knew we were about to spar. It was unbelievable. That dude can go anywhere he wants and get my attention. I told as recently as last night that he's planning to defend. It's planning to be Ankalaev, the clear #1 contender, and it's just going to be business as usual. I tend to believe that.
Man. Hey, what about the fact that he's going to make Ankalaev fight right in the middle of Ramadan? Smart. That's a smart play. It's a smart play. You can't eat all day. You can't eat all day. You got to train for a title fight? Hey, chill. I'm like, yo, I want to fight him in Singapore, where the fight happens in the middle of the day. I'm like, I'll fight him in Singapore, where he's got to fight him in the middle of the afternoon. Well, that dude's out there on an empty stomach.
And wait a minute. That's a part of Ramadan. They can't eat the day of a match?
No, they don't eat all day. Like,
oh, really? And he would honor that? He would honor that?
Bro, these guys are so like devout in their religion that if that fight happened in, you know Bilal Muhammad won against Gilbert Burns? He went through that whole training camp during Ramadan on like 4 weeks' notice. That's when I knew Bilal Muhammad was going to beat everybody. When he did that, when he won that fight over Gilbert Burns, he just really kind of stormed right through him. And he was in the middle of Ramadan, and he had trained for 3 weeks, and he fought at that pace. I was like, Bilal Muhammad's going to be the champion. But yes, so I had this Russian guy named Zelov. He became an All-American at Oklahoma State that lived with me before. He was one of my training partners that ultimately enrolled in school, became a heavyweight All-American. Bro, he was staying in my house. He would not eat. He would wake up in the morning at like 5 o'clock to eat and try to fill himself up. Then all day, he would go to class. He would go to practice twice. He wouldn't eat. But then the moment it got dark, he would jump in the kitchen, bro. And he would eat whatever he can get his hands on. He was a heavyweight. But that dude followed it to the number. And I think Pereira right now is, going, hey, fight me during Ramadan. That would probably be good for him.
That's fascinating. I don't know if anyone will touch that topic. That topic makes people uncomfortable, but that's interesting to me. What you just said, that's and I did not know that.
He's trying to fight him in the middle of Ramadan. It's just crazy. But I believe that if he does, it'll be back at middleweight. I don't think he's going to be a heavyweight. Those guys, 50% that he goes back down to middleweight. 65% he goes back down to middleweight because he seems to want to do that. I don't
Are
know
you just
why.
are you just trying to make TV, or do you really believe that Alex Pierre could cut his right leg off? Do you know how big that man is? Do you know what he would have to do to get down to 185 pounds, and your only reward is you get locked in the cage with Dricus du Plessis? Come on.
Exactly what he did before. He would have to do exactly what he did before. He's no bigger today than he was when he was fighting at 185.
That's true.
It's nuts. Chael,
That's true.
what's the percent that you'll actually say Pereira right?
I'm trying this. I asked him how to say Pereira. You know, I think it was Kenny Florian, but somebody screwed me up very early on. They said, think of George St. Pierre. Say Pierre and then just add a. So Pereira. I'm doing it the way I was taught to do it, which it turns out I was taught wrong. I think Kenny's playing a trick on me.
Yeah, he must have been. Hey, does Islam become a double champ this year? What is the percent that Islam becomes a double champ?
Okay, you know what? This isn't part of the show sheet. Air did not tell you. You've just got this idea of percentages in your head, and you just can't let it go. But fine,
Yeah,
I'm going to
I'm
play
still
along.
on it. I'm still on it.
None. There's none, and I'll tell you why. I don't think there's any legitimate beef between Rachmanov and Islam. And I know that Blal and Islam are not going to do that. They've got the Khabib tie-in, and it doesn't matter if that's 5 years deep or 5 months deep. Once it's there, it's there. And simply Islam won't be given the opportunity. That's it. He is the champion of the hardest weight class we have. He should be recognized as the pound-for-pound GOAT right now, which most rankings say that he is. But as far as even getting an opportunity to have another belt, I do not believe that will happen for him.
Not this year.
I don't think he has the charisma to go out and do what needs to be done to get that fight.
Chael, okay. Chael, what percent, I'm back on the percentages. What percentage if Colby Covington fights Sean Strickland? Colby said he's going to 185. What percentage, Chael? No, hey, granted, Chael, you're 5 of 6 have been 0%. What is your percentage that Colby Covington goes to 185 and fights Sean Strickland?
Daniel, Colby might have lost his last fight. I have known him his whole life. I didn't know he was that tough. He had the flap of his eye. It was hanging down and covering the actual eyeball. There was so much blood he couldn't see. He was so genuinely heartbroken that they stopped that fight. He thought everything was starting to go his way, and frankly, it was. Like, his conditioning was still there. He was starting to find those takedowns. That guy is so dog tough, and I can tell you he's never been more motivated to fight. It's been hard to get Colby to the ring. It's got to be for a title, or it's got to be in a big, I mean, there's just certain things that he can command. He wants to fight right now. He's calling out Gilbert Burns. He's calling out Strickland, talking about leaving the weight class. He just wants a match. So what are the chances of that? I think Strickland's going to become champion of the world. I think that Strickland is going to beat Dricus, and then you're probably going to go do something with Chimaev. By then, you're going to have guys like Bo Nickel that are working themselves up. You might even have a rematch. Talk about Dricus and getting him a shot, a trilogy with Strickland. So I just think there's too much stuff for Strickland to do. But I can tell you, Colby is very sincere in those words that he's saying.
So surprise, surprise, it's 0% that Colby fights Sean Strickland this year.
0. Fighting at 170. We got business to attend to at 170 for right now. We're not done with those guys yet.
This guy, Chael Sonnen, is the best. Hell, that was awesome, man. I'm so happy to be back. It's so exciting to be back on the show. Guys, thank you always for watching Good Guy, Bad Guy. For Chael Sonnen, I'm Dan Cormier. Until next time, peace.